Welcome to a podcast no one's listening to, apparently. News to our listeners from around the globe. I'm sure you do exist. I'm just being facetious. And if you tuned in to hear VerbalTap's official response to Seth because of the meme he posted our direction, well, I would say first, that wasn't at us. But second, it was at Raph. Specifically, there's one man in show business that would receive the passive-aggressive meme of the founder and star of Fight to Win, and I guess now involved in ADCC production, which is cool. Maybe he always has been. I guess it has been Flow Grappling, but either way, didn't invent it. Not a Gracie. I'm really stoking the flames now of fun. You have been kind of called out because you were rejected for some credentials. How you doing with the most recent news that our podcast has a sharp loss in listenership?
Two things. One, devastated. Just, oh my God. How dare they make a meme about us? The beautiful part about the meme in itself, and we'll talk about it as we go along a little bit more, but there's no joke. So when you look at it, you just kind of go like, oh, hey, is there a joke somewhere in all of this word vomit? Oh, no, it's just a shit post. Oh, okay, great. So there's the first part. And the second part, and I guess this really begs the question that a lot of people were asking me, which is,
and a lot of people were asking.
Sure? Because people sent this meme to me and they were like, is this you? And I was like, well, how many other BJJ podcasts are there?
And how many people didn't get credentialed? And it's like you, and first of all, several people didn't think it was you because they were like, well, you're in the community. Like, what are they talking about? You do a ton of interviews, and if we're
or they assume that I am going.
Or they assume you are going. So there was quite a few people that were confused. They were like, oh, wait, you're not going? It was like, oh, and you did this video where you announced you're going to do a simulcast and do some jokes along with the people while they're watching 47 hours of grappling. God forbid. By the way, have you ever been super tired and watching grappling for 10 hours? Cool. So sometimes it helps to have a little Facebook group you can join and chat along with and hear a live stream, and you can at the Grappling Hour. Coming up soon. That's helpful. It's not detracting from a production, but even more helpful would be having you there backstage to talk to fighters, especially given, Raph, I want to give you some credit here for a second. I just want to talk about your interview history.
No.
Date back to the first people that interviewed Gary Tonin before he became a megastar and part of Invicta, which is also a coincidence because today's megastar guest is an Invicta employee. Maybe, oh, I didn't ask what's in the briefcase. I'm such an idiot. What's in that tiny metal briefcase? Dang it, Kevin. Sorry. Apologies all around. You were one of the first people to interview Gary Tonin. You were one of the first people to interview Gordon Ryan several times. And to the point where you even stoked them to understand how to interview people and help perpetuate their career. Several people wish you hadn't taught them some of the things you showed them. There's several things that are of note about your media literacy in this community, but the least of which is that you also do the only grappling production show that covers the fighters and gives them a chance to talk about them. So I don't know. I'm surprised, but I thought that post was hilarious. I immediately was just like, okay, first of all, why is it so passive aggressive? Which people called out, but we're going to get to all those details and some ADCC excitement because moreover than any fake feud, I'm trying to like really stoke the fires on because Raph was mostly like, I mean, I don't care. I just wish they'd credential me because you're a professional. And I was just like, no, we gotta get a meme back and be like, dear anonymous owner of fight to adversary opponents, like here's our blank memes. None of that, but you were
I'll
just
tell you this much, Kev,
wanting
as
to get credentialed.
you're previewing it so that way people have something to come back to. For somebody who likes to tell it like it is, he definitely doesn't put a name to a face on any part of this meme. It is so passive aggressive in the sense of like, yeah, I tell it like it is. Dear anonymous BJJ memer and photog, fuck you. Like, ooh, gotta
No.
me. So, yes, Kev, I have thoughts on it. but we have a guest.
Yeah, and we've already gotten too nerdy about grappling, which is already our Achilles heel. Today's guest is outstanding, host of the MAJic Hour, along with co-host Mercedes, who we do have coming up on the podcast, Raph. We also have her book to talk. Just an awesome show. You're going to hear me sort of fanning out because I've been listening to it pretty steady for about 3 weeks now, catching up. I'm a podcast binger. That's my thing. I should talk to someone. But first, let's talk to Jade Bryce right here on Verbal Tap. Because this is a fun intro I get to do. We have a very special guest on the podcast this evening, Jade Bryce, but I want to do a longer intro for you, if that's okay.
Sure.
All right. So currently with Invicta FC, you have a history of being a ringside woman. They still use ring girl. I just prefer ring woman. I struggle with it. I turned 30 and I couldn't help it. But as I started to do some research for you, the big thing you're here to talk about is your podcast, The MAJic Hour, which I've been listening to. So now I've gotten to see that you also are award-winning. You do some modeling, some personal training, just sort of a little bit of everything. The MAJic Hour is awesome. How do you find time to sleep on just a daily basis?
Yeah, my eyes currently hurt because I feel like I've mastered sleeping with my eyes open. I'm also a single mom of 2 toddlers, so I think I've just gotten used to being tired, maybe. People often ask me, like, why are you so tired? And then I ask myself, and I kind of can get bummed out about it, but then I think about all that I do and cut myself some slack.
You should, because you were even partially, we were like, are you still up? She's like, yep, doing the water on the face trick, which is a nice trick of the performers. Just a little jolt of cold water. So we appreciate you sticking it out to.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we record the show typically at 8:00 at night in my room, and we don't get off till like 10 or 11. So, yeah, I'm used to it. We have to record after I put the kids to bed. So it's our only option right now.
Oh, wow. And 2 kids in addition too. So you've got the 2 miniature full-time jobs because toddlers are just sort of nuts. And I'm only dealing with a 35-pound dog that currently is looking at me like I'm talking to an imaginary friend. But you've got that, you've got the podcast. And so actually let's sort of parlay to the podcast before I get too in the weeds and Raph and I get into like what's the most scared you've ever seen a fighter pre-fight. We'll get to those later. The MAJic Hour, I'm part of the MAJic mob now because I've been listening. I feel like we're friends now, at least on my side.
Yeah,
everything
that's awesome.
From Justin Gaethje talking about his mindset, really his mindset emotionally with his family, with pre-fight, just not necessarily inside the cage, though obviously related to that. To 2 podcasts ago, you had a sex stallion coach named Sarah Rosa who just cracked me up endlessly.
Yeah.
I know you
and then we have a Lima Lay on Monday. This next Monday, we have a Lima Lay also. So we try to do like an MMA related episode once a month. But then, in between, we'll throw in a sex expert or a channeler or a Jungian psychologist,
Can you also do us a solid? Alima Lay, a very good friend of ours. I've covered a couple of her fights and like when she was on EBI. But I recently got a text from my dad who was watching Family Feud. And he didn't know who she was, but he was like, oh, my God, son, all these MMA people are on Family Feud. And I was like, oh, okay. And I watched it. I was just curious if you can pass on to her when you're questioning her about that Family Feud experience, because I saw looks from her where I said, oh, no, she definitely has my partner on my team made a stupid response to one of the questions answer kind of face.
Well, we've already interviewed her. It's already been edited and it's ready to go. But we did talk. So I think that may just be her look because Mercedes and I, we can kind of have that look sometimes too when we're in our heads. But we do talk a lot with her about stuff outside the cage as well. We talk about anxiety, about plant medicine, about her and I both just did like an 8-month celibacy. So we talk about our life, and then she also talks about how it all goes into her training and into when she's in the cage. So I think you'll like the interview.
Awesome.
How do you decide on this format of a podcast? I know you approached Mercedes. You two really enjoyed your time traveling together, working together, but the podcast is sort of a bizarre confluence of different things. Just talk us through the process of where the MAJic Hour comes from and why the crossing of genres.
So we named it MAJic Hour, MAJIC, for Mercedes and Jade. And, Mercedes and I are both kind of magicians in life. We have this habit of trying to fix things and help people. And it had a ring to it, but also just the fact that that's kind of our archetype. And then as far as crossing genres, we love being a personality in MMA. We love the sport. It's what brought us together. It's all of our fan base is mostly MMA on our Instagram. So we wanted to keep that and keep our fans happy. And also we love the fighters. We love talking to them. We love talking to them about stuff outside of MMA and giving people a taste for what, is going on in their heart and not so much in their training. And so it's partly that. And then it's also partly just that we wanted to kind of be a bridge, like maybe people who wouldn't listen to a Jungian psychologist show or a show about how to please your woman in bed or something like that. We put that in between the MMA episodes, and it's kind of maybe making people think a little bit outside of their original box, and maybe even considering, if they've struggled with depression, maybe even considering journaling or therapy or things that they wouldn't normally give time to, just because we kind of, popped it in there. So.
Absolutely. And I just, in a coincidental world, well, actually through jiu-jitsu, was just talking to a sex psychologist, and a lot of the themes he and I were discussing came up on the sex coaching podcast, which is always to hear it sort of bring full circle. Did this start in the back rooms of Bellator? Because I presume there's a lot of, Raf has covered these. I've been to a few. There's a lot of boredom, downtime before the ring, right?
Honestly, if we had started this show when we were on the road together and we could have done it in the hotel rooms, it probably would have blown up way faster and been so much more easy to promote, because that's such a cool idea, like two ring girls on the road and recording this in between shows, but no, it was years after I left Bellator and while I'm with Invicta, and I kept going on shows like MMA Roasted and MMA Junkie and talking about my own struggles with depression and anxiety, and then how I've worked my way through them and am still working my way through them. And I would get constant messages after doing those shows about how people had no idea and how they feel so much less alone now, and how they just related so much. And it meant so much to me. And that's what I've always wanted to do with my platform. So I just thought, man, these podcasts are a really powerful way to reach people. Kind of want to start my own. And my soul, I didn't even think about starting it by myself, was not a thought for a second. And my soul just instantly said Mercedes. So I reached out to her, and we're the yin to each other's yang. And, I mispronounce words a lot, and I say a lot, and I didn't know if I was smart enough or funny enough or interesting enough. And I was doing a ayahuasca plant medicine ceremony.
All right.
And I asked, I asked the medicine, do you have any messages for the podcast? Because I had not started it yet. I didn't know if I was qualified. And I saw a microphone in front of me, and I saw a rainbow coming out of my heart into the microphone and then dispersing. And there was it showed my brain with no activity whatsoever. Not to say that I don't have, stuff going on up there, but just basically the message was that it's the heart that's going to change people. So stop getting in my own way and stop thinking about how I'm going to say things and what I'm going to say, and just speak from the heart.
That's the best ayahuasca story I think I've heard. Most of the
we've heard a
ayahuascas,
few, but that's good. That one like matters.
and I've had a lot of people say how transformative it is for them, but they definitely mentioned they're like, it changed my life. I threw up a lot, but it did change my life. But for you, I have to commend you because this is the real hidden secret about, I think, MMA and jiu-jitsu is we're around a lot of perceived tough guys who do struggle with this. And one of the best aspects of the podcast world that I think Kevin and I have experienced on our own level is that when people listen to them, they're driving somewhere, they're by themselves, and they feel like they're part of an extended community. So I'm so happy that you were able to get past, the wonders and the questions on if you were good enough. Don't ever worry about saying and all that sort of stuff. We're not robots. We're meant to have those things. Kevin and I, we were speech instructors, and I still do it. Every so often I'll listen to a podcast and go, yeah, I probably should stop saying that as much or this or that. And those are things that you can do to obviously improve yourself. But if you have something to say and you really sincerely mean it and you are helping people and you're fostering that community, it's always worth it. So big kudos to you on that.
Thank you.
And
I've done 17 ceremonies now. I've actually never thrown up. So
thank God.
You're tougher than Nick Gregory artists and our other friends. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you get like a free sandwich on the 20th? I'm just curious.
Oh God, I don't know if I'd want a sandwich, but maybe like maybe some chocolate or something. Yeah, I should have some sort of.
There should be a special
sort of
toga or like what's those poncho, like a big one of those concert ponchos, like in gold. I don't know.
Yeah.
We've got a few years, it sounds like, to get there.
Well, the other reason we have to start talking about celebration is you guys are coming up on 1 year of doing a podcast
and crushing it.
Halloween.
That's
Thank you.
awesome. So do you have any plans? Do you have any guests that you're looking to do for that? Because I always know when I'm starting to book people and it gets around that 1 year time, or, Kevin and I are almost coming up on 7 years of doing this. So every year it's always trying to find somebody new and do something big for those shows. Do you have anything that you're looking to celebrate when you do get to that milestone in a month?
Yeah. So it's on Halloween, and what we're going to do is interview each other. So I'll act like Mercedes is the guest, and I'll interview her just like we do to our guests, and she won't know what questions I'm going to ask her, and vice versa. So it'll be a really intimate interview, two weeks in a row for that, and then our third one will be our very first guest ever, which was Paul Selig. He channeled us, and it was really powerful. So we'll interview him again, and then our two most feedback, most downloaded episodes were Eric Gotzi and Peter Craig. So we'll interview them again. We've already done those interviews, but we'll air those again.
Nice.
And we're really excited to interview each other though. And then also, before we aired any episodes, we recorded 10 that we never aired because we listened back and we were like, oh my God, no. And so we just kind of trashed them. But one of those was about sexual attraction, and it's just really funny to listen back to. And so we're probably going to air that as a blooper episode and just, kind of let people know this wasn't ever going to be aired, but we thought we'd let you know how far we've come. Here you go.
I would like it noted I was already listening before that podcast was released, so I can't be accused of just tuning in for that one. But as you round into this, and I wrote on our notes for guests, trying to attract some of her audience, most likely we'll lose all of ours to her. So if that at all boosts some confidence, what is the balance of doing the show? So what are you doing outside of right now in terms of how much Invicta? What's the balance like? And are you noticing an uptick in how much the podcast is requiring from you in that time, or is it still a pretty delicate balance?
Yeah, no, it is all in balance. That's the only way I can survive. But the podcast is definitely the thing that takes up most of my time in everything that I'm doing. The podcast is my full-time job. It's it may not be a full-time job salary, but yet.
Heard that.
It is.
Sorry.
It is the hour. Yeah, it takes up more of my time than anything else. besides my kids.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Invicta is, they only have a show right now. They have a show every month for the rest of the year, so that's great. But they don't have me on every single show. I want to be on every single show, so if whoever's listening, if you guys want to let them know you want to see me there, I'm sure that they'll bring me on more. But also, I have just been asked about doing the bare knuckle.
Yep.
Yeah, I got asked to do that, and
BKFs.
Ken Shamrock and
Yeah.
So talking about that, and then I'm always down to do like a guest ring girl for Bellator. I think it would be so fun. It'd be a good look for both of us, and they have a show in Hawaii on my birthday. Just saying that would be really, really freaking cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The podcast definitely takes up more time than anything else combined. But so there's not necessarily a balance, but what we're trying to do is just make it to where, the other things, we're not having to outsource, for finances. We're able to just do it on the podcast and focus on the podcast. So, we're only at our year mark. So I know we're doing pretty good for where we're at, but hopefully it becomes that. Or I'll just say it will become that.
Okay.
There we go.
No, and it sounds like, that's the intention, is to continue to shift this into fifth gear and double down. You can hear it on the podcast, I think, at least especially over the last few episodes. But can I ask a Bellator fighter, Invicta? You are cage side. So we talked to Bruce Buffer. We've talked to a few people in your position. I'm still upset. I have not won ringside cage boy gig, but frankly, I don't have the abs for it. But I will say, so we've heard when you get to pass by them, we've heard from referees, you can sense, and you being a keen observer of the human spirit just in general, do you have a method for how you could tell if you thought a fighter was going to win or lose? Do you have any memories of being like passing one and being like, that person's losing?
When they're in the cage, or do
Absolutely.
you mean like...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like right before, you're getting a sense of their body language and their nerves, because we only see the exterior.
I mean, there's always like, you can tell at weigh-ins and when they're, before going in the cage, and just the look in their eye and the energy of their body, like you said. Sometimes they're just so like cool as a cucumber. They've got no worries. And then the other one is like, they've got tunnel vision and they just are set to destroy, but they also have a lot of angst to their energy. And it tends to be the one that's as cool as a cucumber that wins, I don't know. It just seems like they are so calm and collected that they have the game plan, but they're not stressed about it. And so maybe they're like able to, put it into practice more. But then in the cage, you can kind of feel their exhaustion. Yeah. When you're walking around and they're in their corner trying to, hear from their coaches, you can sense when they're exhausted and they've hit their mark, where they're just not there anymore, and then you can also sense when it's the opposite and they don't even really need this break. They're just like catching their breath and they're ready to go back in. So yeah, I think you can definitely sense it.
Can I ask about separation for this? Because I know when I go to cover things, and there's fights on every weekend, it seems, but you were in that industry. The travel is very tough. There's so many events. When there are fights that come on that you're not covering or you're not doing, are you watching, or do you need to separate and take a break?
Oh no, I love to watch. Yeah. I've fallen in love with so many of these fighters just from being on the road with them for so long and hearing their backstories and getting to know their families. So I'm still a fan of tons of fighters. And, I can't always stay up as late as I'd like to watch the main card, but I watch as many as I can.
Because I wonder,
I follow the sport for sure. Yeah.
I just wonder if you're the person who goes on vacation, because sometimes it's me. where my wife's like, okay, listen, you gotta chill. You know, like we gotta do something, not this. And I go, you're
Well, this is my
100% right.
sport. Like, I'm not into football or basketball or baseball or any of that stuff. I was into basketball for a while there, and I used to have this obsession with Kevin Durant. But now I've never really followed a sport. MMA has been something I've been into for almost 15 years now, and so it's kind of like my, everyone has their thing that they follow. That's MMA for me. So it doesn't feel like a job like watching. It doesn't feel like I'm just trying to stay relevant or just trying to stay in the loop. It's something I really enjoy.
Cool. I'm just going to take this and play this part for my wife. So that way she understands that people, they can have an obsession about it and be like, listen, babe, it's norm. Like, it's just what happens.
Yeah. I've never dated anyone that either wasn't in the sport or that didn't at least watch the sport. So I haven't gone through someone not wanting to watch it with me yet.
I mean,
there's
on my personal side, I definitely remember, before we even did a podcast, I had it on calendars. I would tell her like, hey, we're going to a bar, we're doing this. And so people were like, oh, does your wife even like fights? And I was like, she does. But then I also started doing it kind of for a living.
I empathize with her. Yeah, I empathize with her. My ex was really into football, and it came before my birthday. He wouldn't remember my birthday, but he would remember who the Cowboys were playing. And so I empathize with her. So definitely make sure that she feels more important than MMA.
I do. And I have these moments where I kind of have to go pitch dark on certain fights, and I'll tell people like, hey, just text me. But I gotta tell you, I mean, I was lucky that she was kind of born into it, and so she's definitely the type who, when she's watching a press conference, she goes, ugh, do we have to watch the press conference too? And I was like, well, I have to. And then she'll watch and then she'll look over and she'll go, ooh, did Nate Diaz win? Like, can I see that fight? And I'm like, see, you like it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a fighter that I'm interested in, I definitely will watch the press conference, but I don't always watch those.
Well, Jade, we have, 2 hours of questions for you, give or take, but we promised 20 minutes because of your aforementioned many jobs at the Jade Bryce. Yeah. That's with a Y. That's where people can find you, though, based off of your following. People do know that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can come on any other time also for more questions. I love doing this stuff, so.
Excellent. Well, we consider ourselves sort of, Raph and I are both vocal feminists, so it's always fun to hear that get proportioned into a different MMA project. We use a lot of comedy on ours. You two, it's a whole broad range of things, from introspection to meditation to comedy to fights to just kind of everything. So people need to check it out. The MAJic Hour, MAJic Hour spelled normally. Jade, thank you so much for coming on the podcast this evening.
Of course. Thank you for having me. We'll talk soon.
ADCC, which is the Olympics of grappling, is coming up. It's this weekend coming up. I keep thinking about that abstractly because I've forgotten it's the end of September. It's just something that happens every day that ticks away. A little poem about me. Raph, we're going to get to the Keenan storyline, the Dylan Dennis storyline, just a distant second. Some of the things we're excited about going into, because I already got to see some Craig Jones. I got to see some Nikki Ryan. You're already doing shows that are getting me hyped. I keep seeing your interview with Nicky Rodriguez pop up along with his oiled body. Thanks for that, by the way, whoever edited that gem. Are you going to wait to respond to what I would call a rather directly indirect shout out from Seth, I guess, about the ADCC stuff, which was basically like, no one likes you. I think you look stupid in coveralls. your Twitter sucks and no one likes your photos. Something along those lines, but you can imagine if you were just ever bullied in like 6th or 7th grade. It sounded like that. What's your plan?
Well, do you want me to address it now, or should we talk ADCC like normal people?
Well, I mean, we're taking production notes from me. There's a problem.
All right.
Verbal Tap Legal just started laughing. They didn't even have a note.
All right, let's talk about it. I'm sure that's why some of you guys are tuning in.
They're like, no, we were here for Jade, and I guess well, we just thought we'd let it ride.
Their new listeners are just sitting in and going like, I didn't know we were going to have a beef on the first episode we've listened to. Jesus.
Neither did we.
Yes, here's what was posted, just so I read it verbatim. It was a photo of Brad Pitt from the movie Fight Club.
Hot.
And it is quoting, without a second quotation mark on it, "You are not special. You are not beautiful. A beautiful and unique snowflake," which is a very famous line in there that you may have remembered from very aggro-aggressive 15-year-olds who obsess over the movie Fight Club. It's a little cliche. I mean, okay. But here are the actual parts that are rhetoric. Because, again, there's no real joke here. The joke is shock and awe. So the real idea of doing shock and awe is that once you get past that, here's the rhetoric. Number 1, no one listens to your podcast. Number 2, no one gives a shit about your photos. Number 3, you provide no value to the BJJ community. You are not getting a press pass or free tickets to ADCC. Go fuck yourself. All right. This is an interesting one for me because, again, Kev, what if it's not me?
Well, unless was the free tickets for me and I'm misrepresenting how little I matter, yet I'm almost insulted if there is a slight there.
I want to address this as both a person who is mildly amused and a person who saw a lot of people respond to it. Some of whom were actually friends of ours who actually liked it, not knowing, I think, it was even addressed to me. So that was interesting to figure out. But it does seem pretty pointed at me. And if it does have something to do with me, cool. But if it's not, the very small chance it has something to do with somebody else, I think I should address it because there are a lot of people who probably won't speak out against this. This seems to be a rebuke, if you would, or an antagonistic post about people who are hitting them up for free tickets. And I want to make sure something's very clear. If you're taking the time to do a BJJ podcast or do photos, you're doing two of the most underappreciated jobs in all of jiu-jitsu. That's not just attacking whoever is designed for this. That's attacking the people who are also credentialed at this year's ADCC, who will probably say nothing because they're afraid to speak out. Talk about a free press. You got people who he's backhandedly insulting that have been credentialed in this, but they won't say a thing because going to ADCC is an honor. And I get that. But probably doesn't make you feel better. Especially, and if you want to talk about the fact that no one listens to our podcast, some of the people who are credentialed don't have our numbers. So, yikes.
Hey, that's always fun. I like bragging about our numbers like it's...
Listen.
We're not all purple belts. You know what I mean?
I just want to make it very clear is that those people are going to do a job, and they should be appreciated for what they do. And I think it's really shit to put down anybody who is making a positive and amazing contribution to our sport, but especially when these people are giving you goods and services. So when you talk about people wanting to hit you up as for free tickets, you're conflating this idea that they want to be moochers. And I think that's what people really like about this post, is that it seems like these people just want something from you. I've never asked for a free ticket in my life. Again, if this post is about me, I've only gone to cover fucking events. And I want to make this abundantly clear. I've gone to cover events, especially those that are new, especially those that had a San Diego event a couple years ago for their very fourth event that nobody else was really going to. And it was a shit show. I paid for my own travel to go out there. I covered it. And I did so gladly because I always make the offer to new grappling events. That's something I contribute to the community. As one of these BJJ podcasters, I want to tell you a lot of them work their ass off. And from a team that likes to claim that their team knows sleep, you would really like to think that they themselves would recognize and respect hard work. But they seem a little blind to that, at least when it's not convenient to them.
Certainly.
So if you really want to talk about free tickets, I'll make it very clear. You know how free those tickets are when you spend every night editing or working or coordinating with people? These videos don't just edit themselves. They take a little bit of precision, a little bit of time. And a lot of the times, I've never seen one athlete just leave an interview because they had too much attention. If we're talking about this as a whole, and I think that's what we're doing here, this shit post is, and even if it's not about me, it's about a whole bunch of people who are just getting picked on by a dude who's just trying to bully them around. And I gotta tell you, man, I don't get bullied. I'm not here for that. I don't really give a fuck if you like us or not. Because one thing you gotta kind of figure out at this point is, I'm kind of like a family member that you may not like, but you see at weddings and funerals. And I'm pretty professional enough to get along with anybody. So I don't mind if you exist in your own bubble and you do your own thing. But I do find it odd that for somebody who's defining the word snowflake, that you were probably motivated to make a meme off of a video? Possibly, I don't know. Again, that's if it's anything to do with me. On the week that you're hosting the biggest tournament of your life. So if it's not me, it's somebody who resides in your head that made you take time out of your very busy schedule when you should be producing the Olympics of our sport. So, yes.
What if it was Joe Rogan?
I wish it was. I wish Joe Rogan was like, yo, young Jamie, pull that shit up. Does that meme about me?
They're like, no. He's like, oh, I knew it. I knew it wasn't about me. So anytime I look at these things objectively, we did used to get a free Grappling account. I should bleep that out. But we also used to promo their content. Now we don't really do that because we don't get a free thing from them. So it's like something we used to make a part of our segments. Like, let's talk about what's going on this site or events wise. We did a more conscious effort to do that. Now and our audience sort of somewhat enjoys it, but usually they're pretty in tune with where to get it just because of the only focus part. So it was normally just a nice reminder to watch and pay attention and be a part of it because you get lost when you have just the month-to-month rollover. So it's something like that that's helpful, but we discontinued that relationship years ago. We don't like hit them up for free stuff.
No.
So
no.
I'm not trying to, and since they were like, hey, we don't want to provide that, we're like, okay, we understand.
Well, I mean,
much like we do with any sponsors we've had of the show, which we've had a few.
True. Well, we've never, the partnership with them was basically they hit us up offering something. We were in a mutual sort of thing, and there was never a contract written, but they did it as to promote their events. And then guess what? Once they got a little bit bigger, they didn't mind us so much, and that's fine. Partnerships are meant to be for a certain amount of time. We've never had a problem with any of that. So no, we don't ask for free shit like that. We ask for people to work with us. We ask for people to, value our time and efforts. So, yeah, it's kind of weird when you tell somebody that they provide no value to the BJJ community as if you're some sort of weird czar that understands it. So I'm going to leave you with a couple thoughts.
They lift up my north-south jiu-jitsu underwear. Like, I was like, that was a gift, you bastards. That was a gift.
There's two things, one of which is a cautionary tale, which is very interesting. I've seen the script before, and I want to make it pretty abundantly clear on this as well, which is we've kind of gone away from personal insults. It's not really our brand. I mean, if you want to be tacky and do that sort of thing.
Oh, God, I was headed the other way. I have a whole Alex Jones transition when you're ready. Just give me the nod. I'm ready to take it to the fights, and I've got one that's crazy. It's a conspiracy theory, but I have on good authority. It's what happened.
I mean, Kev, I could say things like, I woke up on the wrong side of my steroids. I understand that. Those are jokes that you can say about somebody. Here's what I think is important. So this seemed to relay to me a kind of thing that was reminiscent of plagiarizing the playbook of Dana White. Dana White, of course, loves to say how outspoken he is, but every once in a while he gets reined in by people who are above him. So when you are the CEO of your own company, you can say whatever you want. Everybody likes that. It's really cool when you just say what you feel and you're just so real about it, and you just say whatever, man, because you're real and that's what you do. Cool. That's you, man. But it doesn't give you a personality, I'll tell you that much. Saying that you're keeping it real is not a way of replacing being interesting or anything like that. But I will say this. Dana White famously tried to excommunicate a certain reporter named Ariel Helwani. And the problem with that scenario was they had a partnership, they worked together. And then they broke bad because Ariel broke some sort of story. I didn't do any of that shit. So, or again, if it has anything to do with me. But the interesting thing about that relationship is the further he tried to ban him from coming to any of his events and from doing his job as a reporter, the bigger he made him. So now they're on a network together, and that's kind of the byproduct of speaking someone's name into the ether, where if they keep opening their mouth about other people like that, they might actually do the inverse of what they set out to do. Something to consider.
Don't tell him my strategy. I've been working on it in secret this whole time.
And the last
I got you all fired up off air.
Well, the funny part about it is that you get a lot of people who say very nice things about you. I'm not looking for that. I'm just looking to do my job. And we're going to do that this weekend. We're going to have an amazing live stream. It's going to be really fun. Go to Grappling Hour.
I'm coming on.
Kevin's going to be there. It's amazing. It's going to be super fun and very positive. And I hope that they have a great event. Don't conflate the issue of having a personal disagreement or somebody making some sort of stupid meme about you as a thing, if it is about me. But the last thing I'll leave you guys with is this. The yourself and go fuck yourself. It's actually one word, you idiot. So do yourself a favor and go read a fucking book. Because if you can't spell a meme right, that's half of the point of using text on a photo.
He's busy.
That's well overdone.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on. There's no spell check on the meme app if you use the cheap ass ones. They don't like it.
Anyway, I just thought you could at least the one diss that was close to being a joke on your dumb meme done.
All right.
Anyway.
No. I'm ready to Alex Jones conspiracy theory this. It's like it's that type of karma that has somebody in one of your most famous draws lose an eye mysteriously before the fight. Some will call it a training accident. I'll call it a karma shot. That's right, sports fans. I don't know what happened to me. Sorry, everyone, for that transition. Keenan's out. Our star, our wonder, our loser to Gordon Ryan. Pretty traditionally, but they were going to be in different weight classes. I actually forget where Keenan was going to be. It's 99. So kind of opens that category up. What did I pull up? I went to look for ADCC. People have been dropping like flies, though. You said... I actually didn't fully know Dylan Dennis was in.
Yeah, that's a big one that seemed to be a problem. Dylan Dennis had been kind of running his mouth and saying that he was in. And I was like, oh, I guess that kind of makes sense. But are you? Like, do you still grapple? I thought you were just hanging out in tubs with a whole bunch of suds while you're showing these beautiful women playing video games. Like, I don't even know what the fuck you're doing. You're just taking dumb photos that look like Andy Warhol rejects.
Oh, I have the list.
Okay,
I did it. Ooh, Keith Krikorian. Oh, okay.
Oh man, it's me.
Okay, well, we've hit the bad news. We've gotten our vendettas out of the way. Now let's talk about these fights a little bit. So I'm just going to run through names, but you can kind of hit on some things you're excited about. Ruan Alvergara, Thomas Halpin, who's a European trials winner, AG Oceana, Kenta Iwanto, a Japan person. Nicky Ryan, Gio Martinez, Tanquinho. Oh, Tanquinho is still that light? I guess Tanquinho's a vegan now. Shane Hill Taylor. Paulo Miao, Giano Ripo, Pablo Mantovani. God, Keith Krikorian's in a tough division. Bruno Frazzato. Mateus Gabriel. Oh, God. Kennedy Marcial. Richard Alcaron. Tai Huotolo. Jesus.
So the Rotolo brothers are, good for them. That's amazing that you've got the opportunity to see one of them go in there and crush it. So then you've also got Rich Alarcon, our good friend Red, who's an amazing individual. You got Kenny Marcial, who is basically gifted. I didn't know you could do that.
I honestly didn't know that either, but I guess his dad just like gets a spot.
Well, his dad gets a spot, and then he was like, here you go. And I think the conventional wisdom was they're like, I mean, he is that good. And it is true. No one thinks he's not good. It's just a matter of when his dad just goes, I bequeath you this spot. And we all go, can you do, like, has this happened before? I don't think this has really happened before.
I guess if you think about what ADCC comes from, they're used to monarchs. So for them, it's like, yeah, this is what we do.
Of course, we've got a lot of interesting aspects here. Gio Martinez, when we did this, we did a preview show on the Grappling Hour this week with a bunch of really fun people. And of course, you had Josh Palmer, who's going to be doing commentary, saying that he thinks that we should look at some dark horses. One in Thomas Halpin, because he's a European trials winner. Surprise, a biased commentary.
That's always his thing.
And then, Keith Kikorian is obviously in there. As you know, he came and talked about all of the fights with us 2 years ago on our Verbal Tap ADCC fight companion that we did 2 years ago. He's the bracket boy that we had. And so we're sending him and John to the show. And I think the funniest
so some cast members are making it. That's nice.
No, the joke we're running with is we have 100% success rate of sending people to ADCC except me. So there's that. But I think, Kev, can you say Nicky Ryan is a favorite, or is the pink eye debacle possibly going to Pac-Man his way into his eye as well?
What the hell's his problem? His pink eye?
Oh, well, Team Henzo, that's what took out one Keenan Cornelius. It was threatening, I believe, Nicky Rodriguez. We still haven't heard 100%. Like, these things can all change.
Oh,
so Nicky Ryan is definitely somebody who
what happened? Who's the... Okay, now we need a serial podcast about this. Who's got time on their hands to trace back what potentially... Okay, if we lose 3 fighters to this, we're doing 3 podcasts about that. We're going to call some people and try and get to the effing bottom of why they ruined ADCC 2019 and what really happened to Keenan's eye. Now, I have some questions. Mm-hmm. I want to drop my karma theory and be like, Danaher will do anything to get his boys in there.
I think because Jiu-Jitsu put maybe the best comment I've seen on the situation to a meme that we put up yesterday where it was just a woman crying in her car that Keenan wasn't going to be competing. And because Jitsu, I want to get the wording right here, said the refs got him with an eye infection this time. They're getting more clever.
I appreciate the joke, but I don't know that the ADCC refs have ever screwed Keenan. I guess I can look back.
Give them time, Kev.
They will.
Give them time. So obviously Nicky Ryan is somebody to watch. And of course, the conventional wisdom by everybody on our panel on that show was Paulo Miao is the person who they believe will win. Though I do wonder, Gianni Grippo is also somebody that could have a crazy day too. And of course, the big question is, how does Kennedy do? So those are just some blank kind of observations. Do you have any others in the 66 kg?
No, you crushed it. So then we moved to 77. We got JT Torres, Ross Nichols, Joe Satava, John Combs, Servio Tulio, Mateus Gamel, Lachlan Giles, Wagner Hoka, Oliver Taza, Edmund Najni, Hanato Sonato, Lucas Lepre, shit, Ceslo Vincius, DJ Jackson, Dante Leon, Gary Tonin. Okay, this is my favorite division, and I'll tell you why. Okay. It has to do with JT Torres. I'm going to say this about 3 divisions. Probably not. Lucas Lepre and Gary Tonin. Those 3 are why I'm excited.
And are you not going to include Lucas Lepre in that?
That's what I'm saying. Lucas Lepre, Gary Tonin. Yes, I do. He and JT Torres, those 3 are the ones that it's like, someone's got to win this division.
Yeah.
Wagner Roca ain't no slouch. So this should be a fun one.
JT Torres, if you're making betting odds, is a favorite. I believe.
Really?
However, yes, I do. I think
Suck it, Gary.
Well,
With
Gary,
2 R's.
Go away. I'm just glad Gary gets to compete because it looked like he wasn't going to get to do an ADCC earlier this year. There was definitely a moment where I interviewed him right as he was saying it doesn't look like he'll do it. And for a good while, he wasn't. And then MAJic happened. Of course, I love people like
Stay
Hanato
off the
Kanuto.
mats, Gary. Get the fuck out of there.
Edwin Najmi is always fun. DJ Jackson has a wrestler's base. Those are people that you can put in there. Lachlan Giles, who beat an entire team full of people. You can't overlook that. Our good friend Jonathan Combs, I'm very much hoping good things for. Jonathan Satava, I mean, he's like my third favorite John in this category. And
It's
Ross
tough.
Nichols
It's a
is
tough
kind of
John
beast.
category, though.
Yeah. So, but Wagner, you bring up a good point. And Wagner has had some podium experience before as well. So, I don't know. Do you have a favorite in this one other than JT?
Lapri. Come on.
Okay. I mean,
He's
they've done it
really good at
before.
jiu-jitsu. He's very good at it. It's all he's doing.
Just saying, JT's gonna be number 4.
Look, I know, but JT's so good looking. Can he really do it again? I don't know. Minus 88 kilograms.
Yes.
Adam Wardzinski, Alec Balding, Josh Hinger, Gabe Almeida, Ben Dyson, Kelly Locklasoti, Mason Fowler switches with Keenan Cornelia, so it's Mason Fowler and Craig Jones, Rustam Sezuf, Mike Perez, Mario Santana, Gabe Arges, Mateus Denise, Joe Blank, Valdir Arajo, and Pedro Mourinho. They should really come up with a last name for John Blank. Everybody else, I mean, I think you gotta favor either somewhere in the Craig Jones, Josh Hinger category.
With the experience, definitely. Here's something I want to give credit to. John Blank has been known to explode at the unexpected times. So he's definitely somebody to watch. People were saying, check out Mateus, Denise. That could be a big spoiler. Mike Perez always has fun matches. Rustam Chizev also sometimes just is ridiculously a bit of a brick as a human being. Adam, I don't know if he could do it. I mean, he's had such a crazy past few months in terms of competition. So I think the betting odds would be Hinger and Craig Jones. And if we get that in a finals, we should be gifted it. But it could be very, very fun. Do you have anything other than those two?
Cannot wait to watch Murillo. He's one of my favorites all the time. Watched him live in 2012. Guy still kicks ass.
Yep.
Men minus 99 kg. We've got Pertu Topanen. We've got Tim Spriggs, Paulo Jos Baruna. I cannot believe Tim Spriggs still has to win trials. Raz Abdoyan. Okay, Tim Spriggs definitely gets a pass if Kennedy Marcial gets an invite. All right, people, stop making the man go to trials, for fuck's sake. Is that funny to you that he still has to go to trials?
Who?
Tim Spriggs. Who did he piss off? How is he not an automatic? Come on, ADCC.
You know, I interviewed
That's ridiculous.
him after he won, and I said, do you feel it? And Tim Spriggs has a very interesting way of responding to things where he definitely, he doesn't quite speak in the third person, but there's a character named Velveteen Dream in the WWE who made me laugh because there's a video of him losing a match, and they asked Velveteen Dream, they're like, do you remember losing that match? And he goes, the Dream has no recollection of that. It was almost with the same cadence as Tim Spriggs has, who's also a huge pro wressling fan, so I'm sure he'll appreciate that. Gordon Ryan.
Either way,
is anybody going to beat him? Is Vinny Magalesh going to put together a huge surprise?
No, he's tired.
Is
Aaron Tex Johnson
Barbosa
fighting? All right.
Is that going to happen? Because we just got word today, and this just happened, everybody. Dan Martinez is going to come in. Dan Martinez just famously won at the Ultimate Mat Warriors.
Yeah, I also, James Popolo.
Just came in at the last minute, too.
Lucas Hulk Barbosa's in this category, and he always likes to look as ripped as possible without doing much grappling. But no one pushes anyone else around like Lucas Hulk Barbosa. Plus, I hope someone tells him I said that.
can we also discuss what I think is an important aspect that may be very helpful to us, Kev, which is we've got, like, think about all the people who aren't going to be grappling for whatever reason, right? Like, just think about all those people. Like, Keenan's out, Dylan Dennis is out, other people are out. I mean, just think of all the dropouts that we've had within the past 2 months of just people falling out of the woodwork, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What if we did a best of the rest sort of approach? So that means, like, hey, Keenan, bring your pink eye in. It's the best of the rest. Hey, you.
Dylan Dennis, bring your mental illness in. Right.
No.
I wouldn't fight Keenan. He's got a weird infection eye thing that's pretty contagious. Keenan wins. Best of the rest.
I do love telling Dylan Dennis, Dylan, bring whatever the fuck's wrong with you. I don't know what your deal is, honestly.
Dylan, bring your padded shirt, buddy. Plus 99 kilogram. Buchecha, probably going to win it. This feels pretty safe.
Okay.
Eldar Rafigaev. Nicky Rad, unless his eye falls out. Antonio Braganeto. Great name. Matej Zuzkulikok. Yuri Samos moved up to plus 99 kilograms. So Yuri wasn't about that weight cut life. Orlando Sanchez, Cyborg, Jared Dopp. That's the invite. Okay, Jared Dopp and Kenyon Duarte. Okay, damn it. I feel worse for Tim Springs every category we go to. Victor Hugo, Muhammad Ali, John Hansen, Elliot Marshall. Oh, I like John Hansen. He's I called his fights out here. Elliot Marshall, we talked about Elliot extensively. We're big fans. Max Grimes, Hudson Taylor. Fun category, but Chase is going to be tough to beat.
Yeah.
Very good.
I mean, Orlando Sanchez can just be big. We've seen that happen before, and he can be a presence there. A big question mark on everybody's mind is
the
Nick Rodriguez.
Human bowling ball. He looks like the Ebola virus if it was a human.
Yuri Samoas versus Marcus Buchecha, though, is something that is intriguing to me. And of course, Cyborg has the experience. Jared Dopp is a second place performer in this format. Kenyon Duarte is always a big question mark. Muhammad Ali is amazing as well. And for the purpose of our show, we're stoked that Elliot Marshall is in this. That was an unexpected surprise that I couldn't be happier about.
Yeah, he got the invite.
Very last minute for a replacement.
Yeah, I'm cruising through the list. Ooh, women minus 60 kilograms. Saw the first name and got excited. Beatrice Mosqueda, Jenna Bishop, Livia Giles, Rikako Yasa, Bianca Basilio, Elvira Krapinen, Fifione Davies, Catherine Pettit. That's going to be a good category. The women are always this is the most I will cringe the entire night is the minus 60 kilograms because they are all impossible to break. Like every arm bar in this category, I'd be like, Yeah. That's what I know about this category. And I'm going with Beatrice Mosqueda as my favorite. I'm always on the team. Fifione Davies, though. Good.
Fifione Davies has been really crushing it, so it's got to be one of those. Man, can you see that storm coming?
Hey! Plus 60K. Gabby Garcia's back. Leaner than ever, I presume. Amanda Levy, Karina Santi, Stephanie Egger, Jessica Flowers, Tyon Porfirio, Natalie De Jesus, Anna Caroline Vieira. How big is Gabby coming in, you think?
I don't know, man.
This one's difficult.
She's probably going to win again.
Stoked, though. Jessica Flowers. Somebody might heel hook
Jessica
her.
Flowers is amazing, and Nathalie's great, too. And Amanda Levy, she's been training out with Big J over in the East Coast, and she's amazing as well. She's hit a flying armbar at the trials. Like, she's dope, but are we gonna see Gabby win again? And again, Gabby is really amazing. So it's kind of tough. It would be interesting to see if they added another weight class in the future. We keep getting told that it's something they're working on, but when you say 60 plus, it's the same as the men's. When you look over and you go, are they all in the same weight category? That's insane. So Gabby Garcia, odds-on favorite, I would assume, but I am hoping for a pleasant surprise. And I don't mind being wrong on that one at all. Kev, who wins, Galvo or Pena?
I am stoked to see Pena pull off an upset here, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Galvão wins.
Do you think he retires then and there?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Especially, no. Let's see who wins the absolute. That's what I think. Then we'll see if he retires.
He's just like, did Gordon win? Nah,
I just think he thinks he can beat Felipe Pena, and I think he can beat Felipe Pena, and Felipe Pena I think thinks he can get beat. That's the difference. Felipe really, I'll be stoked just for the parody of it, and I like seeing Felipe Pena, who's had some really remarkable grappling moments against Gordon Ryan, have them against someone else. That would be awesome. Yeah. And then we'd know. Otherwise, I feel like, damn it, why is he just so good against Gordon? Sometimes people have that number. I've found a lot of people appear to have that problem for me.
Yeah.
And that's the ADCC trials in a really quick one.
Can I also express some hilariousness of this all?
Sure.
On Flow Grappling, if you're scrolling through, there's a next article that says Flow Grappling official seeding predictions for 99 kg. Okay? In that, if you want to click on that article, you have to be a subscriber. So this doesn't give you new information. This ranking has no real bearing on the main thing. But if you want to see it, you got to pay to play. And I get it. I know. Monetizing things, tough. I'm just going to take your word. Good job. Thanks. Those are great rankings.
We used them in our decision making tonight on who we thought we'd win. It's very influential. Tune in next week, and more specifically, tune in this weekend for a live broadcast, and next week for some recap and some more chatting with amazing people doing podcasts.
Yep, it is grapplinghour.com all weekend. You can catch us on all the major platforms. It's going to be simulcast on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Periscope, whatever you prefer. We'll probably have some stuff going up on Instagram. We're going to be everywhere, so you will not miss it, my friends. Kevin, like he said, is going to be on the show. We have a ton of guests. When I say a ton of guests, we've got some folks who are excited to come on our show. So I'm very excited for it. I'm really looking forward to it, despite whatever memes have come up this week. Again, I really do wish it well for all of the athletes. I hope it's a spectacular event. I do hope it's a success. And that's it. Kev, you?
This has been, I did Pilates. I really got to focus. This has been Verbal Tap. I'm Kevin. Thanks for listening.
Good night and good luck.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is